Before doing that, we need to make sure that you know some words and their meanings. So when you read the questions, you'll know what you're supposed to be doing. So here's the first word, algebraic. Algebraic just means it's got some pronumerals or letters in them. Here are some examples. So you can see, really, they're just like terms, and they could be added together. An expression is a mixture of numbers, letters, and maths signs. For example, 3xp plus 2 is an expression. 5x over 7 plus 3y is also an expression. An equation actually is the two expressions with an equal sign between them. So 4x plus 2 equals 3x plus 1 is an example of an equation. They have an expression on either side of an equal sign. When you substitute, you put a number in place of the letter. Usually someone has to tell you that beforehand so that you know to do it. Or you've measured it yourself, or by some other means you know the value of the letter. So here's an example. If I had F equals MA, and someone told me that M equals 3 kilograms and that A equals 10 meters per second squared, I could substitute 3 for M and 10 for A. So let's substitute now. F equals 3, now I'm putting that instead of the M, multiplied by A, which is 10. And that's instead of the A. Remembering, of course, there's the multiplication sign between the M and the A. You will notice, of course, that I did not put the kilograms or meters per second symbols into the equation. They are the units that are being measured, but they're not necessary to put in the equation. And then, of course, I could then work out the answer. 3 times 10 is 30, and in this case it's newtons. The important part is this formula at the top tells you how to work out the answer. It tells you to multiply M by A. And when somebody tells me what M is and what A is, I can substitute those values into the formula and get an answer. An inverse operation means an operation that's the opposite. Here are some opposites. Plus and minus are opposite. Multiply and divide are opposite. Square and square root are opposite. A one-step equation is an equation with only one number with the letter. For example, x plus 2 equals 3 is a one-step equation. It'll only take one step of our rule to get rid of that 2 and find the answer. A two-step equation has two numbers with the letter. So 2x plus 3 equals 5 would be a two-step equation because it has a 2 and a 3 on the same side of the equation as the x. A solution is when you find the answer. If I have x equals 2, that means I have found the answer and I know what x is worth. I have a solution. When I solving in a linear equation means finding a value for the pronumeral that makes the equation true or correct. So for example, if I had 2x plus 1 equals 3, the solution would be x equals 1 because it would make that equation true. 2 times 1, here where the x is, plus 1 would be equal to 3. That would be a true result. The last one, making x the subject, just means having x by itself on one side of the equation like this one or like this one. In both cases, x is by itself on one side of the equation. Make x the subject. When we expand, that just really means get rid of the brackets. So here's an example of a number multiplied by a bracket. Remembering, of course, in between where there's nothing shown, there is a multiplication sign there. What we need to do is multiply 3 by each term inside the bracket. 3 times x and 3 times plus 3. That will give me 3 times x plus 3 times 3, which is 3x plus 9. So I have expanded the bracket. The word justify is just another way of saying show. When you see that word, you need to show that something is true.